Hi friends, welcome back to April's blog class. I'm so excited that you guys came back. Sometimes I wonder if you're going to show up, and then here you are every time. Last month's album, Enchanted, was a little detailed and we did a lot of fussy cutting and it was more advanced. This month's album is a little bit easier, but it is beautiful in its simplicity. It's one that you're going to be able to whip together really quick, and it's so much fun because it's so perfect for Mother's Day. And if you don't want to use it for Mother's Day, it's perfect for lots of other things. The cute title on it is Beauty Blooms from Within. And this album was made by Juliana Michaels, who is on our design team. And she is probably one of the most organized people I've ever met. She keeps me pretty organized. She's the one that kind of does all the organizing stuff on the blog and lets everybody know when their assignments are, and she's amazing. Okay, so a few things about Juliana. She is married to her best friend, Danny, and I think they've been married 7 years now. She might have to correct me if I'm wrong on that. And she's been scrapbooking for about 16 years. What I think is funny about Juliana is she likes pasta and Mexican food and peanut butter M&Ms and Dr. Pepper, yet she always looks fabulous in every picture we see. And that's because she does P90X. If any of you have seen the P90X videos, you'll know what I was just doing. Juliana, she is a physical therapist and she lives in Illinois, and she has a blog, and it is 17turtles.blogspot.com, the number 17turtles.blogspot.com. And I think I've asked her before what the 17 Turtles is about, and for some reason I can't remember, so if you don't ask her, I'm going to. So anyway, we need to bug her and find out what that's about. So I'm going to show you the album and just show you how darling it is. Just kind of, it uses a lot of Noteworthy, and then it uses the dimensional chipboard and stickers. And this album is done so that you would set it like an easel, so if you had it on like a sofa table, the people on this side it would be the right way up, and the people on this side it would be the right way up. So it's not one to look at this way. It's one that you would sit like an easel, and then both sides are visible. Yeah, so it uses a lot of Noteworthy and the dimensionals, and then that combo sticker, and you'll have a lot of fun product left over that you can make more layouts and cards and even embellish this up a little bit more if you want to. So, and my favorite, you can sign the back if you're giving it to your mom. I've made one with my little niece's pictures, and I am going to let her give that to her mom. She's just 3 years old, and I'm going to have a little interview with her, and then in the journaling spots I'm going to write stuff about her mom. She is so adorable. Let me just tell you a quick little story about her. My husband called her house the other day, and she answered, the little 3-year-old. So he started talking like Mickey Mouse, and she was so excited. Is this Mickey Mouse? And he, yeah, this is Mickey Mouse. And she's like, I have to tell my brother. And she put the phone down for a minute, and she come back, and he started talking like Goofy. And she was like, is this Goofy? And they had a little conversation, and then she said, I didn't know this was going to be the best day of my life. So she's just a cutie. So I have some pictures of her that I put in here, and I'm going to do a little interview with her and then fill it out, and we're going to give her mom that for Mother's Day. So we are going to get started on this album. We're going to do the cover and then pages 1, 2, and 3 today. So I'll be right back. All right, to get started, I am going to tell you a few things that I do to make life easier. So pay attention, because these things will make your life easier in the long run. One of the things I've done this time, is that I've written on each page. So this is the cover and which way's up, and page 1 and which way's up. And I've just done that on each of the pages so that I always know what I'm working on. And isn't this the cutest album? This little brackety album with the country garden. I love it. Okay, another thing that I'm going to have you do to begin with, so that when you get to those pages you're not having to wait for your glitter to dry, is we're going to glitter all the pieces that we're going to need right away. So get out your 12 by 12 chipboard, and you're going to get out this butterfly that says Dream Big. this little blue butterfly, this orange and or yellow and pink butterfly, this guy, and this white label. So 2 blue butterflies, the pink and yellow butterfly, and the label. Get those out. And then also get your layered dimensionals out. And this one down here in the bottom left, carefully peel off this top butterfly so that the second layer is exposed, because we're going to glitter that as well. Alright, so we've got the 2 blue butterflies, your yellow and pink butterfly, and then on this dimensional piece, carefully peel that top guy off, and then you're going to glitter this guy. So glitter those pieces and then set them aside to dry. And we may not use all of them this week, but you will use all of them, but then they'll be dry and ready for you. So you won't have to worry about that. Oh, I lied. Hang on. This guy is in your noteworthy. So pull him out too, butterfly. The blue butterfly is about the same size as the chipboard, a little smaller. So you want glitter on him as well. And then that will be done, and when we want to use them, we won't have to wait for them to dry. The next thing I want you to do to be prepared is I used brown ink, and I inked around those pieces as well. So you can ink them before you glitter them or when the glitter's dry. And then ink around every page, front and back. If you like ink, if you're the type of person that doesn't like the ink, you definitely don't have to do it. But in case I don't remind you, I've inked around everything, the noteworthies, all the pieces throughout the album. I've got ink on everything. Okay, let's talk about the stripe paper. It has stitching in it, and Juliana is so amazing that she has made it so that the stitching looks like these pieces are stitched on. So when you cut this paper, just be aware of where your stitching is. And there's quite a bit of stitching, so it's pretty easy to do. But just be aware of that when you're cutting, if that matters to you. If that's not something that matters to you, no big deal. Let's see. The other thing, all of the photo mats in here are 2.5 by 3.5 Country Garden. These are where I actually put photos. So I didn't use my Country Garden paper, because she's got it as the photo in here, and I've got it as my photo. So depending on what you plan on doing, maybe don't cut the Country Garden up if you're going to have it be your photo. Just a couple more tips and then we'll get started. And you may not even need to use these on this album, but they're just tips in general. Sometimes when I'm doing a kit and I have limited amounts of paper, I will look through the instructions and the sizes, and I will cut out the bigger papers first and then get my littler ones. Or I'll actually draw out my tracing so that I make sure I get all of the mats I need from a paper, make myself a little map. So that's just one tip. And then the other one is, on most stickers there's a sheen to them that resists ink. So I usually just sand the edges of my stickers just a tiny bit. I mean, it's just really a fast, rough sand, and then it leaves a little raw edge and it will absorb the ink better. So that's another tip on your stickers. And then throughout this class, if I tell you that you need a piece of paper that's 5 by 4, and then we're going to cut it with a decorative edge, the measurement I give you is this piece, and then we'll actually place the centerpiece on, and then we'll use our decorative scissors and cut around it so that you get this look. But the measurement I give you will be the before the cut edge. Alright, with that I think we can get started. So we're going to start with our cover, and the first thing you're going to need is this one that I was showing you. So you'll need a 5 by 4 piece of the dot back, which is the solid yellow, and we're going to be using that a lot. And then you'll want a 4.5 by 3.5 piece of Country Garden Charmed. And then we're going to round the edges of that piece, and then stick it onto this piece, and then using your decorative scissors, we're just going to cut it out right around. And I used a scallop. Juliana used a smaller scallop than what I'm using. You could use whatever you have on hand. I know that you all have these from the mid-90s when we all had to have them all. It's time to get them back out. What goes around comes around. All right, and then next on your cover, we're going to need a piece of striped paper. And this is where I was saying that you want to worry about your stitching. And that piece is going to be 3 3/4 by 1 1/4. That's too small, you're thinking, to fit all the way across there, right? But I wanted this stitching, so I'm going to cut that in half, and I'll put this piece over here and this piece over here. So that's how I'm going to do that. So of your stripe paper, you want a piece that's 3 3/4 or 1 1/4. Or if you just do a strip that's 1 1/4 and just make sure that you have stitching on both sides, you can cut it in the middle. The length really doesn't matter. And then you're going to want this noteworthy and your combo sticker, because we're going to put on that title of Beauty Blooms Within. So I'm going to cut that in half. That's going to go first, and then my scallop piece, my noteworthy, my sticker, and then this yellow layered flower. So I will let you work on that, and we'll come back and start on the second page. All right, for the first page, inside of the cover, page 1, whatever you want to call it, you are going to need a piece of dot paper that is 4 1/2 by 3 1/2, and we are going to round just 2 of the corners. So just 2 of those, and then ink around it after you round them. So 2 of those corners. Then you want a stripe piece that is 1/2 inch by 6 1/2. So 6 1/2 by 1/2 inch, and then 6 1/2 by 1 inch. And that's the one that we're going to do our decorative scissors on. So you're going to put your stripe on top of there, and then we're going to use our decorative scissors down both sides of that, whichever scissors you've chosen. And then you've got your page. We're going to put our rounded corners to the left and just kind of center that guy right on there. And then your stripe piece is actually going to kind of hang over, and we're going to trim that off. So we're just going to, you don't want to go all the way over, but just so that that guy hangs off enough that you can trim him off is where I'm going to go to. Just want to go, so I just have to trim the tiniest bit off of him. Got right there. And then I think I've mentioned this before, but I like to just use I like to just sand these edges off. Then you get a really neat finished edge right there. And then you can just kind of ink it up again. But I just think that it gives it such a neat look when you just sand it off. Makes a mess, but gives it a neat look. Then we are going to take this off of your combo sticker, this little cute piece that says Bloom and Grow. He's just going to kind of go kind of in the center so that his little points are right where the striped paper is. And then you'll want your layered chipboard, this yellow piece with the blue butterflies. And that's actually going to cover the side of that And now that I've finished that, I realized I didn't ink this paper, and it's really gonna bug me, but I'm gonna try and let it go. Probably when you guys all aren't here, I'm gonna go back and fix it, but right now, I'm not. So there's our first page. All right, get out your second page. And for this one, you are going to need this green noteworthy, and we are going to cut him. Starting your measurement at that top corner, you're going to measure it 5 inches from the left and just trim it right there. And then don't throw away your little excess piece, because we're going to use it back on page 8. So keep that piece. Then you're going to want a piece of the dot back that is 3.5 by 4. 3.5 inches by 4. And we're going to round all of those corners and ink it. Okay. Then he is going to go all the way over here to the right. And then our cute little noteworthy is going to go on, and I've even inked my noteworthy. And if you'll look how cute she's made it, it's the same shape and it matches right up there. Looks like it's just bordered like it was meant to be. And then, again, with our layered chipboard, we're going to use the little chrysanthemum, and it's going to go right over top of all of it. And now for the fun part, we get to add a little more stickers and bling. This pink sticker here is several flourishes against each other. We're going to use those in little pieces. So on this one, we're going to cut off 2 of them. I like to sand my stickers, and there is no rhyme or reason to what I do. I just kind of sand it. But that guy is going to go right along the bottom here. And I just love this whole line of paper. The pictures that I've used in it are my little niece, and she's actually got her rain boots on and she's watering the flowers. With our layered dimensionals, you want this little yellow guy. We're going to stick him right there. And then we're just going to add a little bling. I'm going to add a bigger one here and then just a couple little ones there. Anyway, I love all of the, you know, just the little stakes that tell you what's in the garden and the little seed packets. It just makes me happy, and I'm so glad it's spring. I can't wait to get out and clean out my flower beds and get planting. All right, so there's page 2, and just flip that over and we will move on to page 3. Now for page 3, let me tell you what you're going to need. The first thing we want is a piece of this dot back, and we want that to be 5.5 by 2.5. 5.5 by 2.5. And then a piece of the stitch. Make sure you get your stitches on both sides. That's 5.5 by 2. This one we are also going to cut in half. So you're going to place it on this piece, and it's going to match up with the ends, and then we're going to use our decorative scissors to cut along the top and the bottom, but it will match up on the 2 sides. All right, now on several of the noteworthies, we are going to do what I like to call the wet and wrinkle. And I just think things wrinkle better when you spritz them with a little water. It kind of breaks up the fibers, and I don't know, it just gives it a neater look. So we're going to get out the bright yellow noteworthy with the sunflowers on it, and you're going to wet and wrinkle that. It's this piece right here. I'm thinking a lot of you probably know the wet and wrinkle technique, but in case there's those of you out there that don't, let me just show you. So I just have a little mister bottle with just water in it, and I'm just going to mist it front and back, and it soaks in pretty fast, and then I just wrinkle. Just ball it up And take it out, ball it up in a different direction. Take it out of that. Sometimes I like to do the very edges a little bit extra. And every time you do it, it's so fun because you get kind of a different result each time. And I just like the shabby look that it gives to things. So once you get your desired wrinkleness, just undo it and then set it, and it dries pretty quick because you've just barely misted it. And then as soon as that dries a little, you just ink around the edge and then it's ready for your project. So there you go, wet and wrinkle. And then the ones we talked about. So if you're going to use this as your photo, you don't need to cut this out. If you're not, you want 2.5 by 3.5 of your front side of Country Garden, and then 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 of the weathered paper. And that's going to be our photo mat. So this one I'm going to cut in half, and now I'm just going to place this page together. And while I'm putting it together, I'm going to tell you that the other night my son went on a date, and he's 17 and he's good at it, let me tell you. He went on a date, and when they came home, they said, "What'd you end up doing?" And he's like, "Well, we went nickel knocking." Do you all know what nickel knocking is? Because I had no idea. And who does this with a girl? So you take a Band-Aid, you stick a nickel on the bottom of it, then you stick the top part to somebody's house window, and then you tie some fishing string onto that. You go across the street, and then you just sit and pull the string, and the little nickel tick, 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 onto their window or their house. And they come out, they look out, and they just keep doing it to irritate people. Who does that? Anyway, I was just wondering if any of you do that, or if any of you have any fun dating stories you want to share with us. I would love to hear them, because obviously I need to give my son some better ideas on how to treat a girl. Okay, so cut your noteworthy in half, and after I wet and wrinkled that, I inked the edges too. And I love this piece. It's my favorite. I have used it every time I've used this Country Garden paper, on every layout, on every album, every single time. Here's one right here. Here's a layout I did, and there it is. This one I used the trinkets and the buttons and everything from the Country Garden paper, but that noteworthy makes me happy. Okay, so we've got that on there, and then we're going to do our photo onto our photo mat. And now, if you listened and you glittered up all of your stuff, it should be dry enough now to put on, and we're going to actually use the two blue chipboard butterflies. We're going to put the big guy down here in this corner, and the little guy up top. And then we're just going to give them a little bling. So I'm going to put just some little blue bling at the edge of the stream big, and then just one bling in the center of that guy. Okay, and that's all of our pages that we're going to work on today, and it went really quick. So I'm just going to show you, so there's that guy done. I'm going to show you on this page 1 right here how I altered it so that my photos worked. So I have this picture right here of my niece, and she's got one of these watering cans that's all over in this paper, and she's watering flowers, but she's got her little face up there looking exactly what she's doing. But I just kind of flipped it around. So I flipped it because I didn't want this piece to cover her face. So I did everything kind of backwards. So I put my edges over there, and then this piece only covered up this watering can. And then because it hid this piece, putting my picture on, I just took it and slid it down there underneath. So don't be afraid to just alter it a little bit to match your photos. because that's the fun of it, to add your own character and add your own personality to that page. So I'm going to show you with mine. So I did that on page 1, and then actually on page 2, I added a photo. So I just put my photo right under there, but it's exactly the same. My flourishes I just pulled over a little bit so they weren't covered up. And then the other side of that one, I just added my photo. And I added a little more bling because she's a little girl and she likes bling. This is her filling up the water can. So it's adorable with pictures in it. So be thinking about what pictures you're going to put on it. We're going to give this to her mom for Mother's Day, and I think this would be a great album for many different things. Make sure you take pictures of your spring gardening and everything you're doing this year, and then leave me a note and let me know your dating ideas and what fun pictures you're going to add in this album, and I will see you next week. Bye.